Hi, I kind of wanted to revise this build a little bit because it was a tad bit rushed. Also, they nerfed plasma gunners, which means I don't think there's certain nodes that I just don't think anyone should really be taking at all or even giving consideration to, which those freed up points changed the pathing quite a bit. So, dueling sword is still the obvious best melee weapon in the game. It's arguably even better now after they've nerfed it because of the increased overall power level. You can change unyielding to flak if you want. You can use the bolter or the flamer, but you really have to be like thinking about why you're using them. The bolter is pretty much exclusively going to be used for boss damage. It really isn't good for pretty much anything else. And the most dangerous things are going to be armor packs. The best way to deal with armor packs is penetrating flame. Because while your dot does okay damage to the enemies, what you're really considering is veteran, their bleed stacks, and even more importantly, and arguably the only real reason to be doing this, Psyker and their Soul Blaze stacks. Psyker Soul Blaze is pretty much the hard counter to Nurgle's Garden, Rotten Armor, Havoc 40s, and the best way to assist that is through penetrating flame. Giving them that 40% brittleness all the time is a huge increase to their damage because they have to reapply the flame. There's just a lot of downtime on Uncanny. This massively reduces that. So something someone pointed out to me, and I'm glad they did, is that revive speed now increases your interactions with everything. So pretty much everything you do that involves another person is increased by revive speed now. Really, this should just be called assist speed. And considering how fast Zealot's stamina regeneration already is, it's just complete overkill. Something I've always said is that the third Curio slot is really contentious because stamina regen, while good, isn't really like hard. You know, it's not like a hard locked in thing. But now that revive speed does a whole bunch of things instead of just literally revive speed, it's actually quite good now. And with the change in pathing to be taking provenance, you know, stacking 60% assist speed is what I'm just going to call it from now on because that's what it is. It's literally like if you are interacting with your teammate, it's just increased by 60% now on this class. Okay, so disdain. So this is pretty much all the same. You could take Purge the Unclean, and I'll talk about that. I don't think it's super necessary, but it is a really strong node. So as far as grenades, you kind of have to think a little bit. Does your veteran suck? Or are they literally the only person dealing with gunners and you are just getting eaten alive by elite gunners? Take Blades of Faith so you can help deal with like snipers, elite gunners, etc. Do you need boss damage? Okay, so let's say your team is low on boss damage. You're noticing bosses are taking forever to die, but the elites are getting sniped pretty effectively. Well, drop the flamer. So if you like have a decent psyker and you're killing armor packs quick enough, but none one has brought boss damage, take the bolter, take immolation grenades, and use uncanny and immolation grenades to be your answer to armor packs. And then let the bolter be your answer to bosses. If your teammates already have the bossing covered pretty effectively, and they're sniping elites and specials before they really become a problem, and they have armor packs handled pretty well, you should honestly just take stun storms. Because remember something that I've always said, and this is really prevalent now with the gap between player skill and now the gap in just overall power of items. Support is a force multiplier. So if you're the best person in the room, it's probably not a good idea to take support things. However, if your teammates are on par with you or better, support becomes really good. And now, no matter how good you are, like it doesn't matter how good you are at Zealot. In like a Rotten Armor Purple Garden, Psyker's just going to do a lot more than you. So supporting them kind of becomes the main thing you're focused on. So really, just think about your team and how good they are and what their builds are strong at, and think if you should swap your grenade. Because now that we're free from the hell of pathing, there really is no right grenade pick. Okay, so as much as I hate Until Death, this is just the most efficient way to grab everything. So you just kind of go like this, especially now that the things have settled. And there's really, like, you don't need any form of immunities. You don't need any form of, like, gunner stun resistance. You don't need any of that stuff. So pretty much everything up here. Another good thing to take would be Sustained Assault, and I'll talk about that again when we get to the bottom of the tree. So, Fury of the Faithful, all three of these abilities are good-ish. Chorus is still really strong. It just takes a while to come back. So The deal with Chorus is you can still run it. It's still really good. You just get way less of them than you used to. So again, you have to actually think about when to use it. You don't just endlessly spam it. Fury is still going to be overall the best. You can dash in, make a play, dash out, or double dash and double down on your play, or just get a bunch of damage. You can still kind of upkeep your cooldown, as you can see. Oh yeah, I forgot. With the new node, you're supposed to kill one of these guys. And as soon as you do that, like that, you get a huge chunk of cooldown. So, you can still... There's like 20, 30% downtime now. The thing that's really changed with this node from the last time I talked about Zealot is now you need to actually kill an elite or specialist or whatever on Fury. You can't just Fury into a horde like you could and have... If you Fury into a horde, you get like 50% uptime on the attack speed. If you Fury into a horde and there's an elite there, then you get like 80, 90% uptime on it. Stealth will be discussed at another time because this is super strong, but stealth is stinky, and we'll just talk about it later, okay? He's like that weird uncle. Scourge is still Scourge. They've just moved it. Invocation of Death is way weaker, but it's still kind of mandatory to upkeep the attack speed on this. Enduring Faith may have gotten nerfed, but overall, Zealot has the same defense as before. Blinded by Blood is just a nice damage increase that never used to exist. So, Infectious Zeal, now that it's 10% crit chance for your whole team and not 5% crit chance, I kind of think this should always be taken, which is why I was really happy to see Plasma Gunners get nerfed, so I felt a lot more comfortable changing the pathing to be able to include this, because wow, it is really good giving everyone 10% crit chance all the time. Now, you don't have to take this, but I do think this will be the most comfy thing for most people to take. Like, you could drop Riposte for Sustained Assault, because this will probably have some more uptime, but it really depends, right? If you're more aggressive and you're more in people's face and killing things, then Sustained Assault's going to have a higher uptime than this. If you're more defensive and kitey, Riposte is probably going to have more uptime. Now, you don't really need to be taking any of this stuff. 5% move speed is surprisingly nice for the Dueling Sword to kite things, but if you feel like you don't want this stuff, you could go something like this. You could go Sustained Assault, Purge the Unclean, maybe take Prime Target, or take like, what is it? There's one other node over here that's fine. I'm just forgetting what it is. So, something like Shield of Contempt. You could do something like this instead. But I'm not too big a fan of that, I'll be honest with you. I like having the movement speed. I really like Hubris, and I find Riposte has more uptime than Sustained Assault does for me. But I really like Hubris because with Hubris, you're getting slightly more damage resistance overall than you were before the quote-unquote nerf to Zealot survivability. Which means this is what you're going to be most comfortable with. Because let's be honest, you really should be getting a weak spot kill every 4 seconds as Zealot. It'd be kind of hard to play this class without it. Now, Martyrdom will also be talked about at another time, because I think Marty is just as good, especially after the buffs, probably even better than Blazing Piety. But you can get skill checked really hard with Martyrdom. Like you're putting yourself in line to die to any sniper or poxburster or even teammate, which is why I'm always hesitant to recommend it to people. But whatever, we'll just talk about it later when we talk about it. Yeah, I don't really have too much else to say. This has been pretty streamlined now. There's really nothing, apart from like Martyrdom and Shroudfield, which is another setup that's honestly a little bit better, but it's better in a very toxic manner. You'll see what I'm talking about.